So this was a video recommendation from one of my subscribers, Van Court Richards, and he is a great fan. He always leaves a nice comment, which I really appreciate. That really helps get the videos out. If you like knife collecting and you like to have information on knives like this, you do want to thumb up these videos. You do want to subscribe. You do want to go to my eBay link just below and put a bid on my knives. Put a dream bid. I'm not telling you to buy one of my knives. I'm just telling you to put a dream bid on it. And what that does, that helps the whole knife community keep active. All right, eBay killed and really hurt a lot of the collectible market. But for some odd reason, eBay has been absolutely wonderful for knives. And that's because when you sell a knife on eBay, I have never had a problem with one of my knife collectors paying me. Just a real class act of people. And the government's really not involved also. So you can have fun, you can collect your knives, and you can establish a collection. And it's really helpful if you're establishing a collection like this, right? To have some sort of idea what you want to collect. So the question Van Court had for me was, which knives would I never sell and why? So I'll go over a few and then maybe you can possibly understand my philosophy on this particular collection I have. Now I have some collections that are rather large. Now let's say for instance I had a collection of military knives a little bit larger than these, right? Maybe in the range of 10 to 15. I would make that a separate collection and I'd most likely keep that in a different location. These are knives that I've absolutely fallen in love with, and I rotate them throughout my collection. So some of these knives might go away, but some of them will never go away. And a good example of that is maybe my AAPK knife. This is my AAPK knife, all right? This is all about pocket knives. Great website. Fantastic guys, tons of information. It's a CS and it was made for, in 2009, for the folks at this website. And it's just a fantastic knife. We had some fit and finish issues when they first came out. And that really upset a few people because honestly, AAPK is one of the largest, when it comes to these wonderful traditional knives. It's just such a resource for really good information. So CS had a really good opportunity to, impress us. Did they meet our expectations in 2009? I don't believe they did, but the company has had some ups and downs. This particular knife that I got, incredible. It's really outstanding. Maybe lacks a little bit of snap, and you have your nickel steel bolsters and liners. What is the benefit of that? It's not going to fade and you're not going to get some discoloration, which is very possible with a lot of knives that have brass liners or any type of brass on them. A good example maybe would be something like this. You have some brass liners, and what happens is the brass does tarnish, turn green, and then it sometimes goes into the bone handles, as you can see right here. Now for some people that really doesn't bother them. For me it does. So I've mentioned this before, every option on a knife, it's there for a reason. So now special knives like this, my AAPK knife, or maybe one of my first knives that I put in my collection was this Remington boy's knife. Now, if I went to sell this, it really wouldn't get very much money, but it just represents why I started collecting. It really is. It's an old knife. There's really not much to it, but the reason I really liked it was these bone scales. I just think that's really, there's just something about it that I really liked. So I keep it. For me, this is a great collectible. For a lot of people, it's really not that special. I mean, on eBay, it probably wouldn't get very much attention. I do have some expensive knives. Well, a lot of these are expensive. And I do like this case knife. This is a case tested. And case tested knives, when they were manufactured, you're looking at a knife that's really custom quality. A knife that was really hand finished from the start to the finish. And it's just a fantastic knife. These are knives that, this knife I would not sell. For me, I really like it. It just represents a really well-made knife, and it's beautiful stag. And you're not going to be able to obtain a lot of quality stag in the future. I have hand-picked knives. A good example of hand-picked knives is maybe this CV little case that I have. And this CV case got a great half stop, got great snap. You know, a knife like this is really not worth that much, but the way this particular one feels and the way it behaves and the way it was put together, I love it. It feels like a 1970s case knife. It has a lot of pull and snap. And this one's, you know, this one was manufactured in the 90s. So a hand-picked knife, I sell a lot of knives on eBay and I'll say it's a hand-picked knife from my collection, or I'll say 1 out of 10. What does that mean, 1 out of 10? Well, I had about 100 of these, all right? And when it comes to electrician knives, I maybe had about 50 of those. So what I have in my collection honestly does represent the best of that, okay? So you're gonna have the best walk and talk, the best snap, and almost a custom quality knife. A good example of that is maybe these Moore makers, which would only probably sell for maybe $50 online, maybe a little bit more. But this particular one is out of a batch of about 75 Moore makers. And it's just a beautiful knife. I sold a few of these and they were all worth more than people got them. I tell people, please buy these knives. They're fantastic. You're not going to be able to find these in the store. A knife like that for $50 is just amazing. It's beautiful because an older case like this can cost you all the way up to $300 in some cases. And these are just beautiful. When it comes to the case trapper, I really like it. This is the Razor's Edge model, and what that is, it has a little etch on there. It's one of my favorite knives that they made, and as you can see, it has a polished edge. I really like to polish the edge of my knife when I like to strop my knife after I sharpen it, and Case has done that for you. I really think that's cool. When I get a custom knife, that's what I usually do, is I'll usually strop the edge and polish that edge so it really shines, and Case has done that for you in this particular model. So they've added one more step to the manufacturing process of these particular trappers that make them next level. And I really like that. I handpicked these, the polish is still there, and that's something that you want to maintain that's really special about that knife, you know. Let's see of another particular model. Another one, I really like my Bruckmans. All right, and this is Bruckman. It's a German company, and they were famous for, actually this is not a Bruckman, excuse me. This is just a generic German knife, probably made by, maybe even made by Bruckman, because it has the same quality, and it will fool you. There are some generic German knives that will not sell for very much on eBay, but they're absolutely gorgeous. This knife is beautiful. Look at this stag. Just beautiful, and it's got really interesting hardware that you won't find on maybe a newer knife. I mean, that is awesome. Look at that. So, you know, sure, it's got the corkscrew, which nobody uses, but that is nostalgia. Here's another one in buffalo horn that I really like. Now this particular one is etched, I believe. Yes, Bruckman, which is the little castle there that you see. And it's famous for its crocus polish. If you can see my reflection, there is little to no distortion really. Well, you can't really tell actually. But if you look at this in the right light, there is little to no distortion. And that is, they use I think it's like an oxidized powder, and they really highly polish these knives. A lot of companies just polished, let's say, the etch side of a knife. So for instance, if you had something like, let's see, something that has an etch, please. If something has an etch, a lot of times an older company, which Case did not do, but let's say they have an etch like this, a lot of times they will polish that side a little bit more than they polish this side. Notice how this side's not quite as polished. You know, they're about to etch that side, so they throw that on the buffing wheel before they throw that etch on there, just to make it look a little bit better, right? Now, when it comes to etches, maybe on a Fight and Rooster or one of these older knives, they would literally do a crocus polish on those, and it really made the etching look stunning. I don't have any examples here. I just don't. Those knives, well, I might. Okay. I don't know if this is a crocus polish, but it's pretty darn close to a very high polish. And as you can see, if they're gonna put something on there, it just doesn't want to focus, does it? They're going to really polish that. Isn't that pretty? Full-size Ranch Congress. These knives took the place of so many whittlers at the time. And that's because they're just so much easier to produce, and they carry 3 very useful blades. So what's another knife I wouldn't sell? Knives that I've had customized. This is a Hen and Rooster. It was a cell knife that degassed. And as you can see, I had it threw some stag on it. Beautiful knife, very exciting, I love it. I wouldn't sell some of my bulldogs that are in stag. Very hard to find. And this particular one is just an incredible shape. Again, they have etching on all these, and they're just so pretty. This knife is awesome. It's got 2 sets of blades, so you could use this before lunch and then use the other side for the rest of the day. This is an all-day knife. If you needed to work in the fields, you could. Got plenty of blades there. And maybe a knife that's maybe not too valuable, maybe one that's made in Japan, an SM. Don't even know what that is off the top of my head. Probably something with frost or something, I don't know. But just a really well-made knife. Handmade in Japan for a large manufacturer. But it's just a really nice knife. Nice little Barlow here. Love it, love it. What's another knife I would not sell? Here's a Stratton Morgan, I believe. Let me see. SM? Yeah, SM. I won this on AAPK, and it's a special knife to me, so I keep it. Got great memories. It's not worth the $80 for selling it. It just gives me too much joy. A knife that I would consider selling, it doesn't really match anything in my collection, but it's a great knife. This is a Camillus with locking blades. Not that it's a bad knife, it's just not, I don't have enough of these, and I just don't feel like collecting these. As a user, you don't get any better than something like this though. So I do have a few users which are just odd knives or knives that you would probably not think that I would carry. My EDC today is my standard little Imperial Schrade German-made Swiss Army knife, which has a master blade. It has your screwdriver, wire stripper, and then it also has the most useful thing, a Phillips screwdriver, which is really cool. Well, it's a little windy today. My goodness. Hold on a second, let me close this. Okay. All right, we're back to peace and quiet. So we're gonna keep this at 15 minutes. So we got another 30 minutes here. But that's my knife. I'll throw that back in my pocket. I probably would not sell these Sodbusters also. I'm a real big fan of these. I have one that's in stag, wood, and then a green one. And I have the boxes for these. Just a great representation of what Case can do. I also wouldn't sell something like this. These have cracks here and there. And when it comes to selling them, people try to really rip you off by trying to get the price down. Just really annoying. This knife is beautifully made. The walk and talk on this is next level. It's above a 10. And that's why I keep this particular knife, because if I ever carry an EDC, I'd be very interested in carrying this knife. So I hope that answered some of your guys' questions. So I don't see very many knives in this particular collection that scream, sell me. You know, you're like, why do you keep this? I love it. It's cool. It's built nice. It has some good walk and talk. It's got some really cool blades on it. It's the Lone Ranger, for goodness sakes. And what, you'd be selling this for what, 20 bucks? That's not worth it. If you have a good, well-made knife like this, keep it, guys. It's just going to go up in value. It's special, and it's something that you can put in your collection and really enjoy. These advertising knives are really cool. Really like them. So I'm going to let you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and subscribe. Go below. Please hit those links. Please, let's stimulate this whole knife thing. Throw a dream bid on this. If I list something like this, which will probably sell for about $200, go ahead and throw a bid of like $60 on there. You could get it. All right, and I send them out. I've had a few people win some incredible knives at incredible prices, and I'm more than willing to take a loss here and there. And that's what makes eBay so wonderful, is when I put one of these knives up for sale, you might get them at an incredible price. If I sold these, I might get one or two that go really high, but I might have one that goes for really low for some odd reason. And that happens not very often, but it does happen. So please put a dream bid. It can't hurt. Because if you win, you get a little email saying, hey, you got a $200 knife for 80 bucks. So help me out. Let's get some traffic going, and I really appreciate it. Take care, and hasta la vista.